Welcome. This short guide to adding an online storefront to your business website is done in partnership with Hack the Gap and Elevate Hennepin, a business support initiative from Hennepin County. Please welcome our presenter, Caroline Karanja from Hack the Gap. Hi, Caroline.
Hi, I'm Caroline Karanja, and I'll be here to talk to you about how to add an online storefront to your business. Adding an online storefront is really important because it helps provide additional flexibility to your business. So if there's ever moments where you're not able to keep your store open in person, you're able to use your online storefront to be able to still provide goods and services that you would normally provide in person. It also helps provide a level of sustainability and growth that you can only get through adding an additional form of e-commerce to your business. Adding an online storefront is great for many different types of businesses. It's great for restaurants, it's great for specialty grocery stores, for folks who sell special goods like clothing or jewelry. It's also really good for people who provide services. So in addition to the kinds of services that we usually think about, like accounting or things like that, you can also think about this in terms of people who are providing barbershop services, or even services like or even services like helping repair phones or other types of technology. So just services more broadly. There are many different ways to add online storefronts to your business. And I'm going to talk through 5 core ones and an additional one at the end for a very unique type of businesses, but we'll start with these 5. The first one is adding an e-commerce website. The next one is adding a third-party ordering platform to your current website or to your business. The next one is leveraging social media apps in order to add an e-commerce feature to it. You can also incorporate marketplace platforms that already exist. And then you can also include appointment-based selling. We'll talk about that as well. So adding a full e-commerce website is great for people who are selling like goods or clothing really broadly. So it's great because you're able to have full control over your brand. You're able to control all of your customer information that they're putting in, and you can follow up through things like email newsletters or confirmation for shipping and other things regarding like the status of their order. You're able to have really good SEO and analytics, so you can help drive more traffic to your e-commerce website. It also provides a lot more flexibility in terms of customization and automation that you can do around your business. Some things to consider when you're setting up a full e-commerce website are that it takes a little bit more time to set up some of these full e-commerce website, and it also requires a lot more operation systems. So you need to think about your inventory, especially if you're running both an e-commerce and a physical storefront. So then that way you're not overselling on one area and not accounting for it in the other area, right? But it really does kind of require, ideally having a system that can handle both, but definitely a key consideration when you set up a full e-commerce website to accompany your physical store. Being able to have that operation system really be in sync is incredibly important. As I mentioned, another way of adding an e-commerce or an online storefront to your business is through adding third-party ordering platforms. This is really great for restaurants and people who are providing services in particular. And so, a pro for adding third-party ordering platforms. A pro for adding third-party ordering platforms is that it can help handle the payments and the logistics. It often comes with some kind of like a payment system, a physical POS as well. And then it usually can help you set up both your physical and your online piece all at the same time. One thing to consider with this is that oftentimes there are additional, transaction fees and monthly fees, in addition, of course, to any credit card fees that you can also accrue when you're making charges. You have less brand control, so meaning oftentimes people will associate the charge with, Square, for example, versus your store in particular. So if that's something that you want to have a little bit more control around, this is something to consider. And there are, of course, ways to mitigate this as well. You could just like put your sticker over the over like the physical POS that you might have or something like that. And then, oftentimes customers, again, are going to kind of think about the platform, not necessarily you. This is specifically the case for food related ordering platforms. So, consider places like ChowNow or Uber Eats, some of those places. Customers are often going to associate the experience with that platform and not necessarily your business. So something to keep in mind, but definitely a great potential add-on to your business if you want to have, again, sort of an additional way to bring customers to your online, or if you want to bring, sorry. Platforms like ChowNow or Uber Eats in particular, customers are going to associate the experience with that platform rather than your restaurant in particular. So you really want to make sure that the experience is unique and different, so that way they remember your company name, your business name, and not necessarily just how they ordered their food, for example. Another way to bring the online storefront to your business is through social media e-commerce shops. This is especially great if you already have a decent social media following, but it's also kind of like a great way to kickstart your social media following. And so, a lot of social media sites already have the shops connected. So think Instagram, TikTok, Facebook as well. The pros are that it's really easy to get some of those started. And it's a great way for customers to discover who you are, especially if you're able to put a little bit of ad spend behind your shop. So really easy to integrate into what you're already having. If you already have some visibility through your social media, it's a great way to be able to start that online piece to your business through some of these shops and bring more visibility to it. It's also a great way to kind of reach out to local organizations or individuals who support what you're doing and encourage them to kind of share out the fact that you now have an e-commerce add-on to your business. Some considerations is that some of these platforms really do control the visibility that your business gets. So something to keep in mind. And oftentimes they might require you to have a little bit more ad spend before they display more they display your business to more users. You also end up having limited customization because obviously they are going to brand the experience fully. And then the people who are going through your shop and kind of taking a look at what you're offering, a lot of that data you don't necessarily get great access to. So something to keep in mind. It's not an ideal long-term solution, but it's definitely a really great way to get customers to learn about your business, to learn about your offers and your offerings. It's also kind of like a really great way to kind of start thinking about little sales and some marketing pieces here and there, which I'm not going to get into here, but definitely a great place to also kind of conjunctly think about the marketing aspect of your business. Another way to add an online storefront to your business is through marketplace platforms. So this is something like Etsy, for example. This is really great for people who are providing goods, retailers. It's great because there's already built-in traffic. They already do quite a bit of marketing for you, and it's really easy to get started. One consideration is that there's often a lot of competition on these platforms, but again, it's a really great place to just get something started. So if you want a online platform that is kind of easy to start, that doesn't require too much investment, especially if you're selling goods, online marketplace is a great place to start. But I would say not necessarily a great sort of permanent place to be as your only source of online revenue or online interactions with your customers, but it's definitely a good place to start to learn how your business can exist online and what your online customers are looking for. Appointment-based selling is another one that is oftentimes not talked about. And so this is great specifically for people who are selling consulting services or other services in general. So again, some of the services that we talked about earlier, you can set these up through Calendly. You connect that through a payment app, something like Stripe. If you have the paid Google Workspace, so Google Suite, but the paid version, Google Calendar does also have a feature to let you set up basically an appointment feature that will also, you can also add a payment aspect to the appointment. So you can have people make payments as they make an appointment with you. And so there's a couple other different options out there to be able to set up something like this. This is great because it's a really quick setup, very low admin and operations, kind of that constant back and forth that sometimes we have to do to make an appointment with someone. Some of these solutions make that really easy. And these are really simple platforms to start off with. And so if you're looking for something a little bit more complex, there's definitely solutions for that. But if you're really just getting started, Calendly and Google Calendar, some of these are really, really simple ways to just get going. Something to keep in mind is that, whenever you have a system that's really easy to make appointments, it's also really easy to make cancellations. So something to keep in mind there. But this is a great way for people who are offering consulting services or services in general, as I had mentioned earlier, whether it's helping people fix things or, providing other types of services that also have an appointment piece to them. This is a great way to bring some aspects of that business online to get things started. And so the final one is kind of this conjunction between POS and online ordering. This is great for restaurants in particular. And so if you have, again, in particular, like a food-related business, or a food-related business or a goods business like retailers, and you're going to be managing inventory, and you're going to sort of have, something where people can come and order in person, having a system where the online and the offline are very tightly connected is really important and will help make life really easy, again, in terms of the operations piece of it. And so, having a system like Shopify or Toast or Square or Clover that have a hardware piece tied to their online shopping capabilities will help make things a lot easier. Sometimes the transaction to one of these softwares can be a little bit challenging, but once you're there, having that hardware with the online connected can really make the change worth it. So I also put together kind of like a quick little checklist here to keep in mind. And so I'll just kind of quickly scan this because you can certainly pause and take a look. But, when you're thinking about your product listing, good clear pictures with good natural lighting. You don't need a fancy camera. You can just use your phone. And as long as you have natural lighting, you will usually get most of the way there in terms of getting a good picture to be able to showcase. Take a lot of pictures as well, especially when you are showcasing like goods like clothing or jewelry, things like that. And then have detailed product descriptions. And then you also want to think about how to track the inventory, as I mentioned. The next piece as well is most people are shopping through their phones. So please just double check how everything looks like on your phone, because most people are going to discover you through their phones. So just make sure that the mobile experience is also really good. Some quick marketing wins are going to focus around doing some kind of community outreach and, potentially partnering also with other local businesses who support the work that you're doing. I'm thinking about a social media launch, setting up the sales and some promos. Those are going to be a lot easier to do through an e-commerce site, maybe than they would be in person. So it's definitely a good way to get more traffic through your online shop as well. And then something else too to think about as you're setting all these things up is consider any costs that are going to come by having an online storefront that aren't going to be there traditionally. In particular, platform fees and any additional credit card fees because you're now using a platform. And also think about shipping costs. So there's tons of other things in there, but shipping costs, platform fees are going to be something in there. And additionally, something else that oftentimes gets lost in all this is taxes. Please make sure you add your taxes, especially if you're in the food industry. There's additional taxes to consider. So please add your taxes and just double check with your accountant or whoever you work with around the pricing piece of your business to make sure that you are accurately pricing your listings. Yes.
Right. Well, thank you, Caroline and Hack the Gap, for your insight and guidance. Please visit Elevate Hennepin for access to vetted resources, no-cost one-on-one advising, a series of no-cost cohort programming, and business navigators to help guide your next step. Join us at elevatehennepin.org. Thank you.
Thank you.